Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I have another speed build in The Sims 4 for you guys. Today's build is definitely autumnal themed. I am so in that type of mood right now, so you'll probably be seeing a lot more builds that have like a warmer or cozier feel. I think as we move into October, I'm gonna dabble in some like creepy stuff because I'm really into this season right now. Right now where I live, I think it's gotten to a point where it's getting consistently cool. Usually I'm hanging on to summer for as long as I can because I just love warmer weather. But once it starts to get cool, like a switch instantly turns in my mind and I forget all about summer and I'm completely into the fall season. I think autumn equinox starts on September 22nd. And for me, when I'm entering into new seasons, it feels like I'm entering a new era or even a new chapter in my life. And so, one thing I like to do is I like to go on Pinterest and I like to, make a little vision board or at least take images from Pinterest to put on my vision board for this new season that we're entering into. I'm really interested in seeing or hearing about like what do you like to do in the fall because I am looking into like some ideas on what I can do for this season. So let me know down below if you have any suggestions or any things that you guys like to do during the fall. But while I was on Pinterest looking up pictures for my vision board for this season, I was also looking at some houses because I also have a board on my Pinterest for like Sims, I call it like Simspiration, where I like get inspiration for different houses and I try to like look up different styles and stuff like that. So, if you're ever feeling stumped on ideas for builds, just go to Pinterest because there's a bunch of different houses and stuff that you can find on there. And for me personally, I don't copy the houses like I don't try to make the houses look exactly like the pictures. Most of the time I just use the pictures that I find on Pinterest as inspiration or a starting point. I consider myself a storyteller and so sometimes when I'll look at a house and I'll get like this story in my mind. And so the house that I found on Pinterest, that's what happened to me. I kind of got this story in my mind. I was inspired by the house as well, and I think originally when I started this build, I did try to make the house look like the picture, but I feel like at the end it looks completely different, but the story stayed intact. So, to give you guys kind of like a picture of the vision that I saw when I found this house on Pinterest, I kind of got like this vision of okay, you're sitting in the back seat of your mom and dad's car, and as you're moving away from the city and you're seeing less buildings, less houses, and instead you're seeing more trees, maybe you're seeing a creek or something, and you're feeling more and more excited the more trees you see because you know you're getting closer and closer to whatever home feels like for you because you know you're getting closer and closer to grandma's house and you know you have a big hug waiting. She probably has some special treats that she cooked up for you. Her house feels really warm. I don't know if you've ever been into like an older person's house, but for some reason their houses always feel warm and cozy and they have like the best couches. I don't know like if it's I don't know like they don't make couches like how they used to anymore. I don't know what it is like, but it's something about like older people's homes. It just feels like you can take like a really nice nap. And in my mind, I feel like you always want to come to this house. In this particular instance, they're coming to this house during autumn. They're getting ready to eat a really good meal, but I feel like also this house can be a great place to come to during the summer season. I kind of got an image of that as well. So this house is on the gallery and if you do want to like change it up like with the seasons, I kind of did keep that in mind. So I feel like if you wanted to switch it up for, spring or summer, you would just get rid of the pumpkins and stuff like that. And that's why I have like a lot of flowers because I can kind of see like the grandma in the situation, like she's also a gardener. So like once the weather gets back warmer, she might be outside more in her garden doing flower bouquets or just like sitting outside by the fire or something like that. But in my mind, I kind of feel like the kids, or the grandkids in particular, like they love coming to this home. They love spending time with their grandmother. Like everyone in like this is the house that every member of the family always wants to come to. Like there's no question about like where they're going to be spending their holidays. Like everyone knows that they're coming back to mom's house. The house in the original picture that I found on Pinterest, it was like a bluish house from what I could see. And I did originally think that the house was going to be blue. And I feel like it does kind of look like a family house, but to me, it looks like if I had kept it blue in The Sims, it would have felt more of like a more modern style type of house. And that wasn't really the kind of image that I was going for. I was looking for like something that feels more like autumn. I'm really, like I said, I'm really in that type of mood right now. So I decided to kind of darken things up a little bit. And I think I knew I wanted to use a lot of seasons because, of course, seasons, and it has like every type of season in that. I actually wish we had more like seasonal related items because I don't know. I just feel like there was like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, this is a way that EA would make more money, but maybe if they focused on like one season and just gave out a kit like that, I would kind of appreciate it. I don't think anyone else would, but I would like something like that because I was trying to go online and find like CC for like fall season stuff, and I don't know, it was just like I couldn't find what I was looking for in that regard. So I was kind of wishing that there was like some type of kit or something that was just like fall related with like a bunch of fall items. And I personally don't really buy all the kits, but I feel like that is something that I would buy, which would be like, fall decorations or winter decorations or something like that, because I felt like I wasn't seeing what I wanted. And I'm currently I work in retail, and I also have like another part-time thing where I deliver Amazon packages. And so I've really been taking a lot of inspiration from other people's houses that I see. Like I really love seeing people like put up their fall and winter decorations, and I'm like, okay, I might need to like, I wish I knew where they got this stuff from so I could decorate my apartment like that. And I also like pay attention to what the older people are buying for their house, because I feel like, I don't know, like for some reason I can always tell when I go to a specific house that this is a house of an older person. And most of the time their houses are like, I love like their houses look like what the houses you would see on Pinterest. I don't know what it is, but like I pay attention to what they buy, because if they buy it, I'm gonna buy it and then I'm gonna put it in my house because I know it'll look really good. I would say that I'm really proud of myself for the landscaping that I did with this house. I wanted to give it like going back to that original vision that I had, that like the more trees and stuff that you see, you're getting closer to grandma's house. So this house is located in Brindleton Bay. There's no really good reason why I put it in Brindleton Bay. It's just that I really like I think it's like this lot, and I think there's another lot in Brindleton Bay where it's like looks like it's surrounded by trees. And so that's kind of like what I wanted this house to look like. That it's kind of like hidden. You can't really see it from the road. The more, like, again, the more trees you see, like the more you'll know you're getting closer to grandma's house. Like she lives in a very like rural like part of town where it's very like secluded. So like she also loves hearing like the sound of wheels on the cobblestones or whatever these little rocks are, because she knows that she's going to have visitors soon, and soon her house will be full of like people again. I think I cut a lot of it out, but I think with this build, I spent a lot of time on the front of the house and also the yard, more time than I usually spend on it, because I really wanted I felt like the front of the house specifically, it was like the most important thing to me, because it just like it was the vision. Like I had to keep it in line with the vision. And I also kind of like was thinking of it as like, this is where the family comes, and they every year when they come here they take like a little family picture. And so I just like had that in mind. And also like I was thinking of like Hallmark movies, and how like there's always this shot of like this perfectly decorated house. And going back to what I was saying earlier about like older people, I feel like older people, they put a lot of pride in how their yard works. And I also feel like this grandma who lives here, like she has a lot of time on her hands. Like her family, they visit her when they can, but they have their own lives. And so I feel like I did create a little family to go with this house, especially when I was taking pictures. But I kind of like see her as like, she's a widow now, so she just has like a lot of time, and she spends her time like you just sitting outside. Like older people, they just love sitting outside, and I really really appreciate that. And I feel like all of us should do that more, just like sit and like listen to like the birds, or like watch the birds in their little like eating from their feeders, listening to the wind chimes, listening to the wind like rustle through the trees. I don't know, something about that does something to your brain. I don't know if it's like serotonin or melatonin. I don't know what it is, but it just makes you feel so good. And I feel like the older generation, like they got it wrong in a lot of things, but when it comes to just sitting, I think some like in where I live, I think they call it either loafing about, or like, well, loafing is like when you wear your loafers, or I think I've even heard it called like pedaling, where they're just like not doing nothing. They're just like walking around, like I guess contemplating life, like letting their mind wander. I feel like we should all be doing that more. So yeah, the outside got a lot of my attention and focus, and the house does look like it's kind of big from the outside, but it's really small and cramped because the again going not going back to my vision, but like I create like whole stories in my mind. I don't know why I do that, but like I kind of saw it as like, this house was like, it was kind of small for the family. And I was thinking about how like older people, like older generation, like they had a lot of kids, and they kind of like had to fit everyone into like a smaller space. And so because the inside space was so much smaller, a lot of the time was put into like spending time outside, especially like doing more things as a family, but doing them outside. I was doing my best to try to make this home feel like it was decorated for autumn. Like I mentioned before, I do wish we had more like autumn specific like items in our game. So I did go through debug mode to find some items to include in this build to make it feel more autumnal. I did use like these leaf piles to give it like that fall feel. I put them under these pine trees, and I think pine trees stay like active all year round. They don't like shed their leaves or anything like that. So it didn't really make sense to put the leaf pile like under the pine trees, but I was like, it looks cute, so that's why I did it. But I don't think they stayed. I think when I put this house in the gallery, I believe they deleted the leaf piles, but you can add them back if you just like, I'll put the cheat down below because I can never think of it in my head. So if you want that cheat to find the leaf pile specifically, then you can like put that cheat in and then filter your packs through seasons, because I think we only get leaf piles through seasons. And I also used debug mode to find some of the pumpkins that I used, especially like the jack-o'-lanterns, I think specifically. And I think you can also find like just regular pumpkins. And yeah, the floor plan, I'll admit, was a little bit difficult for me. And at one point, I even forgot to include stairs. So I had to kind of delete everything that I had originally had planned for the floor plan to include stairs. And also, I added another little like room to the upstairs because it wasn't giving me the space that I wanted. Originally, I had it in my mind that I would have like a bedroom downstairs because I kind of saw the grandmother as like getting older, and so maybe she's going upstairs less. But I changed my mind and just decided to put all the bedrooms upstairs. And at the end, I was able to get three bedrooms and one full bathroom, and then there's a half a bathroom downstairs, because I feel like in my mind it's really important to have a bathroom downstairs because it just makes it easier in real life. And it also makes it easier on our Sims because they don't have to keep going up and down the stairs, because it seems like they always have to use the bathroom. And in my mind, because I be again creating stories in my mind, like older people, they have less control over their bladders, so they need easy access to a bathroom. At the end, I think I was able to get like a living room, and I also had like a little play area, like kind of like a little family area in the living room. Um, we have a dining room, which was like the most important thing because that's of course where everyone comes to gather and have meals together. And I also felt like the most important room was the kitchen, because I feel like that's one of the rooms that the grandma spends most of her time in, preparing for her family's arrival. And I also included something that I don't usually do, which is like a little mud room. And I even have like a little pantry area, because I feel like like in my mind, the older I get, the more pots and pans that I want to have. So in my mind, I kind of want to have like a little area where I put all of my pots and pans, like like because I'm in the autumn or fall mood, I'm really into like baking, but I'm realizing that I don't have all the things that I need in order to bake the things that I want. Like earlier I was looking at like cheesecake recipes, but I don't have a cheesecake pan, and I've also been looking at a lot of bread recipes, but I don't like the ones that I've seen, they use like a Dutch oven and I don't have one of those. I didn't spend as much time on the backyard as I did the front yard because there wasn't a whole lot of room, but I do like the way that it turned out. I was able to include like a little bee house, and I even included Patchy, which is like one thing I don't normally use in my game because I don't know, something about Patchy, it gives me like the creepy vibes. I like creepy stuff, but I don't know, for some reason I don't like Patchy because it kind of reminds me of like the imaginary friends in The Sims 3. I just not did not mess with it, and I also don't mess with cow plants. I just don't, I don't know why. They just give me like a bad vibe. And but I was able to include Patchy, and I feel like with this build he worked and he gave me a good vibe. And also in the backyard we have like a little campfire thing where the family can come and roast marshmallows and just like reminisce about like the past and like their childhoods. And I can just see like the family like sitting with their kids and talking to their kids about like living growing up in this house and the things that they used to do here. And I can just see like the grandmother just sitting and like soaking all of this up and like just being wrapped up in a blanket of love, having like her children and her children's children, and maybe like even their children, and just like I don't know, like seeing like the legacy that she's created for herself. In my mind, I kind of saw this house as being older, like maybe it's been in the family for a really long time. And I feel like the inside of the house, it has more of that older feel, like it definitely needs some updating. I did use like in order to just like have like filler wallpaper, because something one thing I like to do when I'm doing builds is I don't like to see the drywall, so I just put any type of wallpaper just to kind of get a feel for like how the house might feel. And I just do like furnishing first and then do the wallpaper last, and it kind of like pulls everything in. um but like in my mind I kind of saw like the inside of the house being older, and maybe the outside of the house kind of looks a little bit newer, so I did use some of the growing together. I think I used the growing together like the little shingles and also the siding, because in my mind I kind of see it as like, over time, like maybe the house has needed repairs, maybe there's been some remodeling done. But in my mind I kind of saw like the grandma as like being very not stuck in her ways, but it's like she doesn't really care for like the modern like appliances and stuff like that. So I did include like the little wash bin and the clothesline outside, because in my mind I kind of see her as like believing in doing things the old way, and like the old way is the best way. And so I feel like the inside of the house is still very much her, and so maybe one day once she transitions, like one of her children will inherit the house and maybe they can remodel it, which kind of makes me sad because I really like the inside of the house. Like I said, the house is up on the gallery, so if you want you can kind of remodel it yourself, kind of like pretend that you've inherited the house or something, and you can kind of like pick and choose the things that you want to keep and the things that you want to get rid of. I feel with this style of house, it would be really easy to update it and renovate it into a more modern style. Another thing that I like to do when it comes to my builds, which might be a little bit controversial, but I like to use a bunch of mix match swatches. That's probably another reason why I tend to use a lot of different packs in my builds, and I do try to be very mindful of that. I think in this build I did try to like kind of stick to a couple few. I mean, there might be like other things that go outside of it, but I definitely use a lot of seasons. I think I use growing together. I think there might be some cottage living. Um, and then there's most likely more stuff than that. But I feel like with mix matching packs and mix matching swatches, it kind of gives it that more realistic feel. Especially like I don't know, for some reason it gave me that like older feeling that I was trying to get, because I kind of like see it as like if you're living in a house for a very long time, like eventually like you're gonna need repairs. Like you might want to replace the doors, and because it's been so long since you brought the original doors, like you might not be able to find the exact swatch of wood that you have for your floors or your windows or something like that. And I also just feel like, I don't know, for some reason I just like that realistic feel. Like I feel like in real life, I mean, there might be instances where people do match like their wood grains or whatever or something like that, but I feel like in most cases, like most people's houses, like the swatches on their woods don't necessarily match, especially if you're not buying all of your furniture from the same exact place, or you're not buying all of your furniture all at once, because I feel like most people in real life don't buy all of their furniture at once. They kind of like acquire furniture from different places, and the more they live in a space, the more stuff they get. So it's kind of like unrealistic to try to like have everything matching. So I feel like having things be mixed matched and like out of place, and not like they belong together but they don't really belong together, it kind of gives it that more realistic feel that I like to have in my game. One thing I do appreciate for with the seasons pack, and one thing I tried to keep in mind, was the decorations that I use for the fall season, because this house is specifically decorated for fall. But I kind of wanted to include items that could like be switched, like the like one of the mats that I use in front of the door, and also the little hallway table in the living room. I feel like these things can, if you just change the swatches, it can easily be changed for like Christmas or Valentine's Day or spring or something like that. Because I feel like this grandma who lives in this house, like she, like again, she puts a lot of pride in her, the outside of her house, but I feel like she also puts a lot of pride in her decorating. And I feel like one thing that older people do is they love to decorate their house. I feel like I wish I could decorate my house more. I feel like, they're on time, like with the season changes too. Like sometimes I feel like I'm kind of getting into it a little bit late, and then like all of a sudden it's a new change in season. But I feel like with the swatches that I, well, the items that I use from seasons, it can be easily changed with the season by like just changing the swatches. So yeah, or you can just like, I think I included in the mudroom the little storage bin where your Sims can rummage for decorations. So if you want like Christmas decorations during the winter season, they can like rummage through the decorations and they can pull that out as well. I didn't put up any decorations uh like for this house. I might, at the end, I'll include some like screenshots of the house like fully decorated. And I'll also include pictures of the house like with no decorations, but just as it is, like after I built it. But I think it would be really cool to see how like the house changes in theme as like the different seasons approach. I feel like it could like really, like that's kind of like how I wanted, like I tried to keep that in mind when I was building the house. Like well, we have like the actual base of the house, like how the house is like all the time, but I was also thinking about like how it would change like from season to season or holiday to holiday. This build was also one of those builds that I wish I could have like just started like a little gameplay or something, and like just started from the beginning of telling these people's stories and like taking a bunch of pictures, because I feel like this house definitely should have a lot of family pictures hanging about, or maybe even like, ooh, that's something else. Maybe I need to make a video on like things that I wish was included in The Sims, in like some, either it's in a pack or something like that, because I think another thing that would be really nice would to be to have like little um what is it, like a photo album or a photo book or something like that. And we kind of do have that with the keepsake box that came with Growing Together, but I kind of wish that we had like something that looked like a book, and you could put like all of your extra pictures in there and just like flip through it. I don't remember if we had something like that in The Sims 3. I think no, I think it was like the video camera that I'm thinking of, but I wish we had something like that in The Sims, because I definitely could see this grandma like having something like that, especially like on the little table in the living room. That would be perfect. Now that we're working on the kitchen, I do remember now that I did use a lot of horse ranch in this house. I don't know why, but like usually when we get a new pack or something, and if I buy the new pack, I become obsessed with the items in that pack. I think it's because we kind of like, I don't know, I need a lot of new stuff, and I don't know, like having new items in a game, I'm kind of like obsessed with those items for a while, trying to figure out how I can use them, especially in a way that isn't like in like how it was originally intended to be used. Because I think when they came out with the horse ranch pack, I felt like they had it in mind that people would be building ranches and ranch style homes with this with the horse ranch pack. But I don't know. I mean, this house does kind of give me a ranch feel, especially like the outside of the house. I feel like it can be converted to a ranch style home. But really, I'm just kind of like obsessed with using the items for the horse ranch pack, and it just so happened that a lot of the items from that pack fit into this home. But like I mentioned, the kitchen is one of the most important rooms in this house because, like I said, I feel like this grandma, she spends a lot of time in this kitchen. I felt like it also needed to be spacious enough because I kind of also see her in the kitchen with her grandchildren or even her children of her own, like cooking up things in this kitchen. And because she does have like a little like the little a little garden, she has like the little garden pots, and she also has like the flower bouquet building thing outside. I feel like in my mind she's very in like she has a green thumb. And I also included like a little dining table, which I don't think I've ever done that in the kitchen before. Usually you do see people like include like little um what is it, kitchen nooks or dining nooks or something like that, or a little eating area in the kitchen. Like the dining room is more so for like formal occasions, but I do see like the grandma using this little kitchen nook as like her eating, like when she's by herself, like she'll have her meals right there. But more so I see it as her like coming to this table to maybe like bring the flowers in that she's gotten from her garden and like tying them up to make dried flowers. And I can also see her being like the type of grandma to like have like all the home remedies that you can think of. Like maybe she doesn't believe in like, I don't know, man-made medicine or like doctors. She believes that like we can only heal our body through like more homeopathic or natural ways. So I don't know, I can kind of like see her going into her little pantry and bringing out these little dials of different herbs and stuff that she's concocted, and like all these different like natural remedies that she's concocted, or like tinctures or balms and stuff that she's made, because she has so much time on her hands to like do these things for her family. And I feel like, one of the things that her family usually do is when someone's sick, they always call and they're like asking, what should we do? And she's like, just come on over. I got something for you. I feel like in the kitchen, you can definitely see my use of a lot of different wood swatches, or just like a bunch of different swatches in general. I don't know. I like that. And I also really, really like this kitchen, and I wish I had a kitchen like that right now because it just feels like very cozy, and it just feels like a place that you would want to be in this season, especially if you're into baking and stuff like that, or even into gardening. I feel like what the grandma tends to do is like she's kind of like wrapping up her spring garden, and she's maybe like canning things, or like I don't know, like cleaning things off. I can see her like sitting at the little kitchen nook thing, like snapping green beans and stuff like that, and like putting them into jars and like preserving them. And she just has like, I feel like she has a lot of room to do all of that, or like put all of these things in there. So I feel like that's another reason why I wanted to have like a pantry, because I can see her putting those things in there. We're about to move on to the upstairs area, and it is kind of cramped. I did playtest this build before I uploaded it, so I think everything pretty much functions the way that it should. If you run into anything that I didn't run into, let me know down below in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that everything functions the way that it should. But I feel like this build, it kind of reflects like, real life, especially like back in the day where like people were having a lot more kids, and they didn't really have a whole lot of space. But in the Sims world, I think it does fit up to like 6 people, because I was able to get 2 double beds and 2 twin beds upstairs, and there's also the one full bathroom. And I feel like in my mind it's kind of like a throwback to the past, where maybe the grandmother, she ended up having a older daughter and then 2 younger boys, and so like everyone was like fighting for the one fully functioning bathroom that they had. Like I can see like the daughter, she took the longest to get ready because she was becoming like more of a woman, and like she was like spending a lot of time in the bathroom. And I can just see like the family like knocking on the door and like trying to tell everyone in the family to hurry up and get out the bathroom because they needed to use that bathroom. Like everyone's like scrambling to try to hurry up and get ready because there's only one bathroom, and the bathroom downstairs only has like a toilet and a sink. But like just imagine like just trying to get ready as an entire family and there's only one bathroom. But in modern times, I can see, like, of course, grandma, she has her own room. That's always been her room. I feel like, she doesn't really spend a whole lot of time upstairs or in her room. I feel like most of the time she's outside in her garden, working on her house, decorating her house, cleaning out her, like, her garden, her like doing her landscaping and all that. She stays pretty active. But I do see, like, maybe in the winter time she does spend more time in her room, either knitting or like reading or something like that, or just looking out the window. And I can also see like maybe her children coming to visit. Like in my mind, I kind of thought it was really cute to have like the rooms exactly how they were before maybe her children moved out or something like that. So for the daughter's room, I kind of like saw it as being like, staying exactly how it was when she was a teenager, and it's like she's coming back to visit with her family, and like her and her husband or whoever is like staying in her room, and her kids are staying in the room that her siblings stayed in. And I don't know, it's just like in my mind it looks like a really cute family moment, and it just fills me up with so much warmth thinking about this type of story. And of course, and if you choose to download this house off the gallery, like you can create your own stories with it, but that's just the story that I created in my mind when I was working on this build. I feel like the vibe that I wanted to create when it comes to the rooms is I feel like it wanted to feel like, like people who were caught up in their own daily lives and kind of caught up in the modern world, and then they step into their old rooms and they're taken back to, like, I don't know, the 70s, no, not 70s. I think that's maybe too far, but like maybe the 80s and 90s kind of thing. So it's like you're instantly taken back to your childhood and taken back to when things were slowed down, because again, like that's kind of like the energy that I'm in with this fall season is trying to slow down, and like because sometimes it feels like life just moves on so fast, and I kind of wanted that slowed down feeling where like you're able to pause and you're taking everything in around you and you're just so fully present at that time. I just thought of something else that I wish we had. I wish we had like again going back to what I said, like how I wish there was like like not a seasonal pack, because of course we have a seasonal pack, but like a either Christmas decoration or fall decoration or spring decoration, like kits or something that are like specifically tailored to like certain whatever season decorations, because I kind of wish we had like little window candles, because I see those a lot where I live at, especially during Christmas time. I don't know if it's a common thing in other areas, but like a lot of the things that the lot of the decorations I see, they usually have like everyone's always looking for those too, because like I mentioned, I work in retail, and like every single year people are looking for those candles that you stick in the window, or they're either looking for the bulbs, but I don't even know if they make those anymore. But I feel like it kind of like brings up something from for the past for me, because I remember having those in the windows at my house. We don't have them anymore, but maybe if I find them, I think I might get them for this Christmas. But I kind of wish I had that with this house, but of course we don't have something like that. But I feel like that that if they were in the game, like that grandma, she would definitely have them, because I did use like more of like warmer lighting. I kind of wish I had included more candles, because I think like this grandma, she would have like a lot of candles in her house. Like maybe she would even make like her own like homemade candles. But I kind of like the lighting in this. I wanted the lighting in this house to feel like more homier, more warm, because moving into fall, especially, well, the climate that I live in, we do experience colder months, and then we experience more milder months, and then we experience really really hot months. And so like I can kind of like, I wanted the house to feel warm because they're moving into a space where the temperature is changing and getting colder. But like I mentioned, I feel like I wanted the house to feel warm no matter what, because I can just see the family coming here all the time to just come spend time with their grandma, and just like, I don't know, it's kind of like when they come to this house, they're able to get away from, I guess, the real world and get away from like modern society and kind of like just be in a space where they're just able to be present again and get back into a space where things are simple. One thing I don't normally do, but I did in this build, is I did include carpet. I don't know why. I feel like most, well, I don't want to say most, but I feel like people were moving away as a society from carpeted floors. I think I saw somewhere, I think it might have been TikTok, where I saw like people in, back in the day, the reason why there was so much carpet was because it was a sign of wealth. I don't know if you've ever seen like those cursed images of people having carpet in their bathroom, which is super disgusting. I honestly don't know how they did it, but the reason why they did it is because to them it was like a sign of wealth. And I've never lived in a like a house that has an upstairs and downstairs, but I from what I've heard, I feel like there's like a difference in temperature or something like that. So I feel like on a more realistic scale, you would have the carpet downstairs. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like I don't know. No, actually, I think I might be right because I think in the winter time, I think people who have upstairs and downstairs, I think that they say during the winter it's colder upstairs, but then downstairs it's warmer. But then during like the summer months, they say that the upstairs is hotter and the downstairs is cooler. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what I've heard. So I don't know. I just feel like I don't know, in the bedrooms or the upstairs, I wanted to have carpet because I don't know. I feel like it gives it that more cozier feel. And downstairs, you want to have wood flooring because that's where all of your guests come and you have all your visitors. And in my mind, I feel like it's easier to keep clean. But we are approaching the end of the speed build. This speed build was definitely longer than some of the ones I've posted recently. Let me know down below, like, do you prefer the longer speed builds or do you prefer shorter? Because I feel like there were some things that I could have cut out to make this speed build shorter, but I don't know if people like to see where I change a bunch of things because I am definitely indecisive and I do end up cutting out a lot of like me just trying to decide between different swatches. So let me know if that's something that you be interested in seeing. Of course, we're not completely at the end, so stick around to the very, very end to see the finished product because I know when everything is sped up like this, it can be kind of hard to see. I'm also thinking about like my current schedule, especially when it comes to my uploads, and I'm thinking about just sticking to one video a week. I'm mostly gonna focus on Let's Plays, and I'll sprinkle in some speed builds, along the way because for me, editing speed builds, it does take me a little bit longer than it does to edit Let's Plays. But if you enjoy Sims 4 Let's Plays and speed builds, then you've made it to the right place because I plan on doing a lot of that here. But I appreciate you so much for watching and I hope we can play again another time.